What's up, my friends? Welcome to these divination sessions. These readings are all in regards to your Earth School curriculum. So these are going to be in-depth soul blueprint readings. And I'm actually not sure. I kind of take that back. I'm not sure how much depth we're going to get into today because I'm already intuiting. The guides are already showing me that there's going to be different parts. So make sure if you watch this one and it resonates, we're going to dive into in the next session of readings. We're going to dive into your current assignment or what your next assignment is, or something that has to do with assignment. Okay, I haven't really meditated too much on it, but I'm feeling that it has to do with assignments in general. So if this one resonates with you and you kind of feel like overall the broad energies, the broad scope of things is really on point for you, then I would definitely make sure to keep your eye out for those readings. But overall, we just have 5 piles to choose from today. I always laugh when I say just this many. It's as many as it needs to be, right? Take your time, and whenever you're ready, we're going to hop right into these readings. What's up, pile number 1? Here's your reading for what is your curriculum this time around in this Earth University that we all find ourselves in. So it's very clear to me, pile number 1, that a big part of what it is that you guys are here to learn has to do with patience. I mean, we have the Temperance card coming up twice here. We have things about patience. We have many messages coming through about taking time, going into yourself, right? Strength, moving into the Hermit here. So I feel like a big part of, a huge part of your Earth School curriculum is, I feel like you guys are super tapped in. You guys come in with a lot of gifts. You guys come in with many things to share with the planet. I feel like you guys are very activated. I feel like you guys have been pretty in tune with what it is that you are here to contribute, or you've always been aware that you are here to contribute something big to the planet, or just there's something that has to do with, this could have to do with like any area of your life overall. Like I'm getting a multitude of careers, like people that are, still somewhat in like the matrix, what like spiritual people would call like the matrix. So whether you're a CEO of an organization or whether you are kind of going off doing your own thing, right? As I'm seeing here with the Strength. So this actually might resonate for a lot of you, going off doing your own thing, kind of doing something very different from the mainstream. Overall, I'm getting that, like you are just aware that you are here to make a significant impact on the planet, right? And a big part of your curriculum is learning that good things take time, right? So the second that you plant the seed is not also the day that you reap the harvest, right? So I feel like just you guys seem like you're very in tune with the bounteous nature of what it is that you are here to experience within these earthly realms. So what I kind of mean by that is you guys are you guys are very aware that you are here to experience bounty and prosperity, emotionally, financially, spiritually, like within all those realms. But I feel like there is definitely a certain amount of patience. I'm sorry, my nails are looking like this, you guys. I've been all over the map. I've been so busy. But there's a certain amount of patience that you guys are learning, right? I'm not surprised these 2 cards came up next to each other. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I feel like you're maybe earlier in incarnation, or just when you guys first go through your initial like spiritual awakenings. I feel like when you that moment that you reawaken to all of your power, it's like you want your new reality yesterday, but there's also this forgetting that there's also this misunderstanding, or this I don't know if it's a misunderstanding so much as it is a lack of awareness within the spiritual communities, that the day that you awaken is not the day that you see your new reality. Like there's a lot of old karma that still needs to run itself out. And of course that takes time, that takes patience. So I love this depiction. This is my in-between tarot that you guys know, if you've been keeping up with my videos as I post them, that this is like my new like favorite, this is just, you get so much information. This is the in-between archetype. So this is Temperance. So this very healing energy moving into, I'm just waiting for it to focus. But moving into the devil. So I feel like you guys kind of have those periods where you're on your game. You feel like you're going into yourself. Things make sense. You're operating from new levels of awareness, new, more expanded levels of awareness. And then you are catapulted into like old behaviors and versions of yourself that, you know, that you're ashamed of, or that you're embarrassed of, or that you feel like are tethering you down. And, you know, the longer that we see that there's something wrong with it, the more that we see or feel or believe that there's something wrong with it, the more we're kind of kept there, right? The more we like, it's like these people are reaching, this is like Adam and Eve reaching for that, you know, the knowledge of good and evil, right? It's like that knowledge of good and evil is actually what keeps us bound to our karma. If we didn't have knowledge of what good and evil was, it would be so much easier for this shit to just move through, because we're like, oh, this is just what's happening right now, right? I feel like, I definitely feel that a big part of your curriculum has felt like, it's felt like you're consistently pushing up like a hill. And just, I feel like it's just essential to understand that that's not always going to be the feeling. Like, the reason why it feels like this uphill battle is because Spirit has been trying to lead you here, right? We have this strength moving into the Hermit. So it's kind of like, you know, this outwardly show of strength, or this like, this kind of more carnal mind level of strength of like, you're just going to persevere, you're just going to try to push through things, but not really taking the time to assess like the spiritual nature behind things, or really assess like your soul's blueprint, or like, you know, the strength can also talk about like pushing towards things so hard that we can't even acknowledge. We're so lost in it that we're unable to acknowledge if it's even the right direction, or if it's even what we should be pushing towards, right, Pile One? And so I'm hearing that, yeah, there's a level of impatience that you guys have experienced, because you know that you have so much to give. You guys have so much love. You have so much awareness. Like, your heart chakra is blown open. I feel like it's very easy for you to connect with other people for the most part, but it feels like overall there's like an uphill battle. Like, opportunities come quickly to you, like new offers of like friendship, of romance, like a lot of things come very easily to you on the external realm, but for whatever reason, it's like, it always seems like it misses the mark. And there's a reason for this, because a big part of your Earth curriculum is, you know, we have this Knight of Wands moving into a Queen of Wands. So it's like, you know, the Knight of Wands is very like, again, kind of that externalized, like, I'm going to go after it full force. Like, nothing's going to stand in my way. I'm just going to fucking bulldoze these obstacles, right? But a big part of your soul's blueprint, and the reason why things haven't worked out, and it feels like, you know, it's just like a consistent uphill battle. Like, he is wounded. He is tired, because he's, you know, because when we're missing the mark of a major part of our soul's blueprint, it's going to feel like this, right? But when you start to catch on and you're like, okay, everything has a gestation period. There are cycles, there are rhythms, there are periods for everything, and I'm going to flow with it instead of trying to swim upstream or push against it. You know, that is your ascension, right? That is your initiation into the Queen of Wands. She's still a very powerful manifester. She's still an incredible leader, right? But the difference between that kind of hyperactive male aspect of the Knight of Wands versus the feminine aspect of creativity, which draws everything unto themselves, right? The feminine aspect is like, okay, it shows up in their power, you know, is patient, takes time to retreat, takes time to go into themselves, understanding too that your gifts, like, they don't become active on your time frame or your time period. So even if you can recognize you're gifted to a certain extent, it's like, again, there's certain karmas, there's certain blockages, there's certain things that we don't always know from this level why we are operating still within certain constraints, even though we know better conceptually. Like, our physical body and our subtle body hasn't gone through that transmutation process, right? Because we can have these moments where our crown is so blown open, our crown chakra is blown wide open, and we can get all of these downloads. But, you know, that's what it means to be a house divided against yourself. If the lower chakras and your subconscious hasn't actually done that upgrading as well, which that is part of the karma, that's what takes the time, then, you know, you're a house divided against yourself. It's like, I wanted this yesterday, and that's where that frustration can happen, and that's when we actually start to create more karma, right? So a big part of your guys' curriculum is like, yes, you got the love, like, you got the love, and a lot of people got the love for you. You know, you have a lot of things that you are gifted in very many areas. That's very clear. And you're here to dance with other people. You are here to create and collaborate with other individuals, and you are here to most definitely, you know, give your gift gifts in a way that is supporting you, right? That is holistically supporting you, financially supporting you. So people are paying you for your gifts, and I'm seeing community, I'm seeing all of that, right? And Spirit doesn't do this as a punishment. But this is only going to last so long. The temperance period is only going to last so long when we're missing the point of what it was here to bring us to. So it's like in the law of attraction communities, like this is why I don't really dabble in those types of communities. And whatever your gateway into spirituality is, I don't judge. And of course, you're on your own mission, so this is for you to decide for yourself. But it came to a point where I realized that if I am like practicing these principles because I'm still trying to get my way, that's spiritual materialism. That's just your ego operating through a more spiritual lens. You're still trying to control your reality, and you can be sure that it's going to lead you into another moment of this, right? It's like that temptation of you thinking you know what's best for you, of you thinking you know what's best for your life, and Spirit's like, no, I'm trying to guide you in a way. Like, this is not a punishment. It's because I'm literally trying to take you into the center of who you are, right? All of these things, the times that you feel like you've self-sabotaged or shit has fallen apart or it's not worked out on your time frame or whatever, that it's not a punishment. It's because you are at a place in you're a mature soul with this night moving into Queen. You're at a point in your evolution and your spiritual awareness, or just, whatever. You're at a point holistically within the paradigm you're operating in that it's like, you're not going to, that law of attraction shit can work for young souls perfectly fine. Right? And they're not going to experience too many repercussions or consequences or anything. But when you get to a point of maturity and advancement in your spiritual awareness, you guys, it's like shit works differently. You're operating from a different level, and you understand those scales start to tip from when you start to see, okay, when I'm doing my best to align and just be utilized as a vessel, I'm allowing myself to be utilized as a vessel. And my codes that I came in with, my strengths, my gifts, my talents, when I align those in a way to be harmonious with uplifting all of humanity, right? So when I am aligning in a way to where I am using like my will, I'm surrendering my personal, what Marissa thinks she wants for the highest, for thy will, then that is when I start to see like a bounteous flood of just peace, true joy, true gratitude. And nothing has to even change in my external reality. It's so crazy how often I see this. It's like when I'm in this place of being impatient, when I start to get really impatient, that's me, that's Marissa. That's my small self thinking I know the time frame it's supposed to happen on, right? But when you're patient, when you're in flow, when you're just like letting all of these obstacles, letting all of these challenges, like they're all there just to bring you deeper, just to bring you into a deeper level of trust, a deeper level of faith, a deeper level of purification. That's what suffering is. It's trying to purify you. It's like the diamond in the rough. That suffering is heat. So the falls of grace that you experience, the suffering that you experience when you feel like you're finally, on your path and then you fall off or whatever, those are all very necessary. That's part of the process of purification. Like the God self, your higher self, or your ability to connect with that is like the diamond within, right? And you need to go through those many pockets, many moments, right? And this is me just like, this is literally written within this curriculum that you guys are going to have many of those, many opportunities, many permission slips, many experiences externally that are going to put you consistently in that pressure cooker of purification where you're ripping away all that is blocking your connection to that true divine self, right? And many times that is, so I'm seeing that you are meant to have all of this, that you're here to play a very active role externally, but at the same time, like the degree to which you are experiencing joy and the degree to which you are actually enjoying the process and enjoying the journey, not rushing it, not living or not thinking that it should be any other way than what it is, that's actually going to accelerate your process. Your patience is actually going to accelerate your process. Your being able to temper yourself is going to actually accelerate your process, right? Because it's like one of those catch-22 things. That's where true faith lies, is not when like you think that your mind has any power over God, right? True faith is when you truly understand that there is only one source, there is only one power, and your only job is to align to that source, right? To consistently continue to reestablish that, right? To where there's where you start to live more and more degrees of your life where you don't feel a separation or you don't feel a disconnection from source, where, you know, you're living in that state of prayer, you're living in that state of devotion throughout your day, right? And that's when you become the most humble of servants, right? And that's when you don't even care what's happening externally. You can be sure that you are, you know, you're kind of missing the mark for this overtone of your Earth School curriculum when you begin to get too results oriented, and when you begin to place your sense of value, your sense of worthiness in what is or is not happening externally, right? That's when you can tell that you're missing the mark, right? But when you just utilize everything, when you understand everything as being a gateway into God, a gateway into your higher self, a gateway into freedom, right? Because true freedom does not lie in mortal realms. True freedom lies in your connection with that which is beyond mortal realms, right? So that's kind of where spirit just like wants to keep you. And so the more that whenever you forget that, like, you have a lot of bumpers within your Earth School curriculum. There's bumpers around you to support that. When you start to fall off, when you start to take that temptation of thinking you know what's best for you, or falling into old patterns, or judging yourself, or whatever it is, right? Whatever makes you feel contracted and limited, and forgetting the bigger scope of things, which is like a big part of that is, I don't know why. Like, I don't know why. I'm not supposed to always know why, but I can just trust. Right? This is kind of like an advanced course is what I'm getting for you guys, this type of curriculum, because, you know, it's like you kind of have to, it's almost like you are watching other people get theirs, right? And seem like to click into what they're here for, click into their role. And it feels like it might take a little bit more time for you in order to really get into your groove of what you're here for. And it's because you went through, like, there was a significant amount of purification that needed to happen. And that's my indication that it's because what you're here to contribute to humanity is, a big part of it is within the realms unseen. A big part of it is vibrationally, like what you're here to contribute, what you're here to give to the planet at this time. Because it's very clear that you guys are really here to be in service, actively in service, and you know, actively. You guys are just very service-based entities, is what I'm getting. So you guys have been aware for a long time of, like, I want to give back. I want to make the world a better place, right? It's written in your soul's blueprint. It's going to happen, right? But you can enjoy the journey. And it's funny because it's that, like, I got a little weird there because it's like you can enjoy the journey, but it's like enjoying the journey is actually going to actualize it, right? So it's no like, oh, I'm going to resist it. Like, I can resist it and speed it up. It's like, no, spirit really wants you to be in this place of you're enjoying it. And because you're enjoying it, it actually like opens that door, right? The enjoyment is the doorway into, seeing more actualizations or seeing more demonstrations or being able to see that it's actually working. But at that point, you should be at a point where you don't fucking care if it's working or not, because you're so blissed out by your connection with source, right? So that's a big part of your curriculum. You have a lot to share. You have a lot of love to give. You have many gifts. You're here to touch the lives of many people. I do see prosperity on every level, being a part of your experience. And remember, success and prosperity is going to differ depending on the blueprint, depending on, but you'll just feel like you have more than enough, right? And patience, right? It's not on your time. It's on God's time, my friends. You are here operating on a different playing field. It seems like we're all operating on the same playing ground, but we're all really within our own reality bubbles and within our own paradigms within the shared reality. So it's not a punishment, right? It's here to take you to continue to remind you where that true source of abundance comes from, right? Where true abundance, where true happiness, true fulfillment comes from. And so that's why it kind of feels like you've had those experiences of falling off, of things not working, of it working out for other people. When am I going to get mine, or whatever it is, right? But just like good things, especially really good things, take time. And Spirit's trying to get you in a really sturdy foundation. So by the time that this goodness starts to flood in even more, you're really solid in who you are and the truth of things, that you're not going to take the temptation of thinking that it means anything about you, your small self, and that that anything good or anything bad could actually ever inherently happen to you, right? Because you're so beyond. Spirit wants you to get you beyond these mortal realms, so you can be one of the highest servants, an extremely high servant is one of those that is detached from like what they think they need as an individual. And it's gone from, again, my will to thy will. So I'm going to leave this reading here for now. I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, peace to your heart today. Please give this video a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel if you've been here before. Much love. What's up, group number 2? Here is your reading for your Earth School curriculum. So what I am seeing, a big portion of your curriculum, because this is something that is very in depth, right? These soul blueprint readings, these aren't something to be taken as just this is the end all be all, right? This is just one aspect, a major aspect of your blueprint and what it is that you came to explore on this planet at this time. So, I mean, it is very clear that you are literally here to be a portal between worlds, right? With the High Priestess and the between worlds and literally the portal. You guys are here to... These are like my modern day shamans. I wouldn't be surprised that those people that are drawn to this are also practicing divination of some sort, mediums in general, people that are very conscientious, like actual mystics. So beings that are literally living between two realms. Like your connection to the astral realms is just as potent and just as real as what's happening on this earth plane, if not sometimes more so. I am hearing that you guys actually do have quite a few with its Hierophant and Lovers. You guys have a big part of your soul's like maybe gifts, maybe that's not the word, but like part of your curriculum is you learn a lot from like relationships in the astral realms. I have made a few videos about this on my main channel on astral connections and how you can actually utilize your 5D connections, your astral connections to grow and to experience love and to experience harmony and to honestly learn. Like I have had, there's been like a few very significant astral connections that I've had where I'm very certain that the other person, because they are also extremely spiritually aware, I'm very certain that they are also aware of the connection and that there are things and realities being carried out within those other dimensions, right? So the beauty of that is like, it doesn't get as messy in the astrals. It's not as messy, right? And you experience more of that, like of the spiritual love when you are exploring relationships in that sense, because when you are taking incarnation or I'm sorry, that's not what I'm trying to get at, but when you are exploring these things more in the realms of the 3D, it's a lot more likely that your smaller self and your like egoic self and like your traumatized self and just like, the self with all the flaws can create messiness or disturbances, right? And whatever, like it doesn't really matter, but I'm just seeing that for you guys, my pile number 3, or I'm sorry, my pile number 2, I just saw 3 here and I accidentally said pile number 3. So we'll see. That might be something that's significant for you in that one too. But I haven't even gotten there. So I can't even tell you if that's the case or not. But it seems like because you are so in tune with with other realms, and more so, I even feel like this is the pile where you guys live. Like you guys live more in the astral realms, feel much more comfortable to you. You guys are high level beings. That's very clear. So it's interesting that we call this like an earth school and like what you're here to your earth curriculum, because it seems like you actually learn a lot and you play out a lot of dynamics within the astral realms and within like 5D realms. We even have 5 here, right? We have the 3 here and then we have the 5 here, right? 3D and 5D is what I'm seeing from this. But it's like, yeah, I feel like we do have 2 5s. We have 2 3s coming through here. And we have 2 5s coming through here. Those are the only ones that have like the numbers actually written on them like this. Well, I guess, no, there's another 3 right here too. So 333 could be very significant, 555 or 355 or, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. It's so interesting because when I turned your guys' cards over, I was like, why am I seeing this as like open relationships? Or I'm seeing this as like polygamy or something. No, polyamory. I don't know what polygamy is. I don't think that's what I wanted to say. But I take that back. But like polyamorous relationships might be something that you guys are here to explore, or like having more open dynamics because we have the Hierophant moving into the Lovers too. It's so interesting that I took this as like, because the Hierophant traditionally means like traditions, right? I feel like a big part of your blueprint is like maybe sometimes you tend to feel obstacles and you tend to feel like challenge. I'm sorry, my nails are looking funky, you guys. I just got back from the beach. But like, you only start to head up against challenges and obstacles when you are like living in a space like of the 3D or of like of the template of the matrix. So of what everyone else up to this point in time says is like the norm. I feel like that's when you start to feel like beside yourself, and that's when you feel like you're meeting challenges, and that's when you start to feel like that's when you start to feel uneasy about your incarnation. It's because you guys in a big way are meant to like make your own rules. Like, we have the wild card, you decide, right? This really tells me that you guys are here to live very unconventional lives. That could be like holistically, but maybe in certain ways, like that, you know, very significant ways that seem kind of big. So what I mean by this is like, I have a really good friend, soul sister, where she practices like monogamous relationships, traditional monogamous relationships. However, she's an extremely free spirit, but she lived in her van for 4 years, traveling the States, traveling through Canada, right? So that kind of thing where like, it doesn't mean that your whole life has to look completely unconventional, but you know, in some senses. So I am getting to like, maybe you are married, but then you're like swingers, you know, like that type of thing, right? Something where there's like very unconventional things about your life that probably people up to this point in time wouldn't understand, but are necessary in order for you to feel like yourself, right? Because in a big way, you are here to kind of like bring the codes of newness onto the planet. And you do that through example. You do that even if people don't even know that you're doing it. But just like harnessing your mystic power is really just about releasing the need to know why you are built the way that you are, right? So you might even be a mystery unto yourself. You know what I mean? But I feel like overall, you'll know that you're kind of in alignment with your soul's blueprint and your curriculum when you're just kind of, you're not overthinking it. But you also can recognize that like, okay, I'm doing things a little bit differently than many people in many regards, right? So yeah, I feel like a big part of just like your curriculum and what you're here to do is like you're here to investigate how you place value or worthiness, or you're really here to create. I'm sorry, excuse me, I don't know why this happens, but you are here to create in a way where you are taking things that seem mysterious and things that seem like taboo that we don't talk about, right, with this moon moving into the sun. So it's like you shed illumination on these things that are kind of taboo, or these things that people don't like to talk about, or these things that are like, honestly, I feel like your expression just makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to look at themselves, right? Again, not in all areas. I'm not saying that you're just out here and just people are repelled by you. I feel like it's probably quite the opposite. I feel like a lot of this happens with a lot of people, you know, like a lot of like, I feel like you probably spark a lot of desire in other people, and you're just, because you're so different, it's like you're here to embody such unique codes. And I am seeing that you guys are very like, for whatever you're attracted towards, the people, right? You are like, they are very attracted to you too, is what I'm trying to say. You're a catch. You have this very divine essence and aura about you. You're very mysterious, right? You have that essence about you too. You kind of do things on your own terms, right? You have this very youthful energy about you. You see things, you go after them. And it's like when you want something, it's already done. That's the realm you operate from, because you are very again, in tune with the 5D. So it's like, you know, that as soon as you have a desire, it's already done. And so because of that, even if this is like news to you, coming to you from Marissa over here, right? I feel like it's because you're so connected to the 5D and like connected to where all of this is born, where the world of form is born. You're connected to those dimensions that it's like when you really do want something, it's like you barely have to lift a finger, right? And you have this very youthful, like I'm hearing that too, like you have many sides to you, right? You have the sides, like you probably have like the party guy, the party girl, whatever. You have this like very serious nature about you too. I feel like you're a diehard romantic, like at the deepest part of your core. And again, these are general readings, so take it as it resonates. Yeah, you're very romantic, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like you can see yourself, like this is the type of pile that it's like, oh, I want to be with like, I want to have my one partner, my one person, my ride or die. But at the same time, I'm like going to leave it open to like exploring things and, you know, releasing these traditional values or these traditional ideas, man. You know, because you're operating at the realms that you were at. I'm seeing that's a big part of your curriculum. The reason why most traditional values feel different or odd to you, or just like they don't resonate, is because some of you guys are like, this is not your native planet, right? And so that's one of the reasons why it feels foreign. So take that if that resonates to you. But for others of you, it's like you guys are at a point in your spiritual evolution. It's like, what is spirituality? What does that do? It allows us to experience greater amounts of freedom, right? Why do we experience greater amounts of freedom? Is because we're not restricting our sense of identity to the roles that we play, right? And so I feel like one of the reasons why I think this monogamy and this like polyamory, I should say, and just like open, free relationships, that's what I like to call it, free relationships, is like you decide what that's going to look like with your partner. You don't just like slap a label on your relationship and just like expect to be on the same page with things, right? Or on the same page with your partner, right? It's like, I feel like you put your partners, a big part of your curriculum is to put your evolution, your spiritual evolution, and other people's spiritual evolution at the highest, right? Above all, above what you think you want. So that means like setting people free or walking away from relationships or things not working out. But ultimately, it's like there can be that pain, there can be a grieving process, but you still deeply feel your connection to all those people that you have loved. Because I feel like you have probably had, like, this is a pile where, like, people fall in love with you. You just are such a portal. You're so connected to the divine self that it's like you fall in love very easily, right? It's like that you're so immersed in the realms of divine love that when you feel that reciprocated to you, it's just like the potency behind it is incredulous. Like, it's extremely powerful. I can't even speak, right? It's so powerful. But I feel like even when you've had to walk away from things and when change has really like caused you an immense amount of like grief, right? Like that was meant to deepen you. A big part of your blueprint was meant to deepen you unto yourself, right? Grieving and like dark nights of the soul. And when we go through like, maybe there was a significant heartbreak in the beginning of your incarnation, or just, first love kind of bullshit, that kind of thing. I continue to see 3. Like there's 3 people in this picture. There's 3 people here, 3 people here. Like 3 and 5 are a very significant number for you guys, right? The 333 to me represents the ascended masters, right? The thing to know about ascended masters, and I feel like this is what's coming through here, is that we only look at them, or like when they were alive during their time, they didn't have very many people that were on their team. Right. And it wasn't until like later, much later in their life, or even for many beings, like after they passed, that they were recognized for the great beings that they were. So I'm not saying that part of your soul's curriculum means that you're not going to be recognized for the gifts that you are bringing and the change you are making, and just like the incredibly powerful individual that you are. Because it's very clear that you guys are wielding a hell of a lot of power. And you're here to see the fruits of that on this earthly realm. But it's just wise to remember that, beings, a big part of your curriculum is understanding and just being able to acknowledge that sometimes people are not recognized for the gifts that they have to offer and just the amount of profound change that they bring onto the planet. Sometimes the people around them are unable to acknowledge that because they are far ahead of their time. So because I am seeing so much 3 and so much that has to do with like family and community, you might actually have felt very misunderstood. That's part of your curriculum, right? Is learning how to accept yourself even when it seems like the world has turned its back to you, even when they can't understand you, right? And that's part of your service. That's part of what you're here to do is like finding forgiveness within yourself, right? Understanding that, maybe, again, we have those 3 cups. Maybe you've had to walk away from, a lot of community or a lot of people that at some point were a big part of your life, right? And so when you look back, sure, there can be sadness, there can be grief, but that was meant to catalyze you into the badass that you are now, right? If you hadn't gone through those trials and tribulations, then you wouldn't be who you are. I am hearing that there might have been a significant relationship early in incarnation, like first love. That would try to come through earlier, but I didn't really know what the point. I got in my own way there. My own Marissa mind got in the way of what spirit was trying to communicate. But there might have been several, like at least 3 significant people within your incarnation that you like had deep feelings for, that were like huge teachers in regards to how connected you are to the 5D realms, that, you know, probably ended in a way that like was like caused a lot of pain and heartache to you. But because of that, it was almost like that relationship or that dynamic, or for some of you, it was a loved one that passed on. It was almost like a sacrifice. It was a deep part of like a higher contract. And that's something to understand, is that for many of you guys drawn to this, there's between 1 and 3 very significant relationship that you've had that was, I feel like it took like probably even up to 3 years for you to fully recover from. And someone that, or something, an event that you would even still look back on, and like if you meditate on it too much, could bring you back to that place of like darkness with this moon into the sun, right? Or just like missing, grieving. But I'm hearing that it's important for you guys to know that everything happened as it was supposed to. There was nothing that you could have done differently or that you should have done differently. Because I'm hearing that this between worlds too is, you know, the thing about this is, while it's a gift, it can keep you living in past paradigms that are just like expired and keep you from moving forward, right? And I feel like too, it's probably challenging for you, because you can deeply feel how much you still mean to these other people. Because I am getting the sense you are deeply connected to the thoughts of other people. You're deeply connected to when other people are dreaming about you, when they're thinking about you in certain ways. A big part of your curriculum is trusting that. I feel like you guys probably question your significance to certain people because of the way that things have ended, or, you know, this doesn't even have to do with like lovers or loved ones. This could do like with organizations in general. You guys are very in tune with like how like you're communing with the higher selves of other people. You are meant to be a catalyst for other people as well. So I'm hearing that's why it's probably been very painful for you in some senses, is because like you can deeply feel the pain of other people, and you deeply feel too, like when you, for example, that first love that was coming through for some of you, you're experiencing the pain of not just like, you know, that all those fresh hormones, those new hormones, experiencing love in that way, in unity on a physical realm or on a physical level or whatever. You're experiencing that. You're experiencing yours. You're also experiencing theirs. So it's compounded, right? That pain and that grief is compounded. But I am feeling this tether. I almost feel like a tie to at least one to 3 significant people for this group, in terms of like there is still a lot of 5D communication happening to them, or between you guys, and also understanding that a lot of your growth, right? I don't know why that felt very specific to get into that niche. I felt like, if anything, the reason why I was so guided to get into a niche for you guys is because a big part of your curriculum is not thinking you're crazy, not questioning yourself, understanding that these relationships and these counterparts, these dynamics are absolutely happening in the 5D, and you can learn just as much, if not more, when that's solely in the 5D versus the 3D too. But for some of you, obviously it's going to be relevant to explore relationships in this sense on the earth plane too, because I am seeing that, right? So like the intuitive connection with the cups, and then an earthly connection too with the pentacles. But overall, just know that you are a great teacher for many people, right? You open doors unto people. You are an actual portal between worlds, between the 3D and the 5D, and you carry out a lot of dynamics on the realms of the 5D for me. And that's why I also feel like it's just in my integrity to, when I'm with other people, that they be on board with like the free relationship thing, because I'm at a point in my own, you know, understanding that I am carrying out other dynamics in the 5D, right? And so first, it would probably help to be with a partner that understands that. But if anything, if I feel like they're not at a point where they can understand what that means, and not at least at the very least think I'm fucking insane, then the whole free relationship is just the understanding of like, you do you. You go towards the things and the people and the experiences that you feel like you need, or you feel like are relevant for you to explore, because I'm not here to hold back your evolution, right? That's not the karma, that's not the juju that I want, right? And I expect the same from my friends, my lovers, my whatever counterpart is in my life, right? That's a requirement, because I'm already there, right? It's like pile number 2, you guys are already there. You're already so tuned into many different timelines, many different parallel incarnations that like that you're carrying out many different things in many different realms, many different dimensions as well. You commune with many spirits is what I'm hearing too. But yeah, the only time I feel like there was a significant thing here about obstacles and challenges, this card having to do with like not understanding the relevancy of certain things. Like they only feel like obstacle and challenges when seen only through the 3D realm. And spirits, your way of knowing that you are kind of really seeing really in alignment with the way that spirit or your higher self sees things, is you no longer see them as being obstacles or challenges. And you also deeply feel and are deeply aware that your souls are all still communing, right? And that spirit has the best intention of everyone involved, and that you're always going to be ushered there. It's like really important for you to remain in integrity when it's time to walk away, and when you should stay and how you should stay, right? And how you should walk away, right? It's really important because I'm hearing that you're a very powerful pile number 2. And so people can be very addicted to your energy. And so, I don't see you guys as using that to your advantage though. I really see you guys as being like, as being very integral, very impeccable beings is what I'm getting here. So this felt like it was at one specific aspect that some of you guys really needed to know about your incarnation. So if you were drawn to another group, check that out too. Thanks for being here. Like this video, comment down below, subscribe to my channel if you've been here before, and I hope I see you guys soon. What's up, group number 3? Here is your reading for your Earth School curriculum. So I'm already seeing, if you guys were drawn to pile number 2, I'm already going to say go to that pile, because I accidentally called pile number 2 pile number 3 when I was reading it, and I was like, there's probably a reason, but I don't know yet because I don't know the cards, and I'm already seeing that there's like the same cards. There's like 2 significant cards here that are like the same from the first pile, or from that pile. So if you guys were kind of like going between the 2, I would say definitely check out pile number 2 as well, because it feels like there will be significant crossovers here, but only if you were actually guided. If not, don't do it. Okay, follow your intuition. So pile number 3, this incarnation is I'm getting an interesting, you guys are interesting ones, and it's probably not the first time you've heard it. You probably know this about yourself. You guys, a big part of your soul's blueprint is your curriculum is how to have an earthly experience, right? You guys come in as very aware beings. So I'm getting like very high density beings. I am definitely getting starseed energy from this. So beings that at the very least have spent other incarnations on other planets that are much more advanced and much more evolved than planet Earth, right? We have Set Your Sights Higher with the Stargazer. We have the Void, the Cosmic Womb. We have Chop Wood, which this card to me is like an extremely, I haven't seen all the cards in this deck, but I feel like if I had to guess, this would probably be the most spiritual card in this particular deck. And what I'm just getting for you guys is that like this, your incarnation here, it's like you're learning how to just let things happen. You are learning how to let life unfold for you. A big part of your curriculum, like you guys, it's hard to even like verbalize what I'm feeling here, because I feel like your codes, the codes that you embody are so beyond. Yeah, okay, I'm totally seeing the crossover now between 2 and 3, but your codes are so beyond just like this realm, and just like Earth. I feel like you guys are very cosmic beings. Like the Set Your Sights Higher is like, this is natural for you, right? I feel like it's almost hard for you guys to be on Earth and to be in body, because you are so, you're just in so many different dimensions. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are beings that have actually left your body and like astral traveled or whatever, right? I feel like, okay, this makes sense. This is making a lot of sense, especially from the first card or from the previous pile. But okay, so a big part of your curriculum and what brings you closer to a state of God, because if anything, the main part of your curriculum, and I can say this very easily and very confidently, I should say, is like when you forget what the fuck is up, which is just like the one, right? I'm just getting like strong law of one vibes where like you understand everything is God. This is all God. Like darkness, what is darkness except just like a fragmented part of the light, right? So you really do see everything is light. And then just like there's fragments of that light, right? You guys are very cosmic beings. I have powerful fucking people drawn to my channel and I'm here for it. I'm here to read for you guys. Like I'm here to read for my cosmic brothers and sisters for sure. I'm like, it's such an honor to read for you guys because I am feeling that you guys are extremely powerful, very advanced souls. And Earth is most definitely not your native planet. So having like just going about your earthly experiences, I feel like you really know that you're in alignment with higher codes, or when you're not resisting it, I should say, because you're in alignment with higher codes, but like you're actually enjoying your life on Earth when you're not resisting it, when you're just like, okay, this is just like another assignment. This is just like my mission is just to bring like beautiful energy onto the planet. I mean, you have the Lovers, you have the Two of Cups here too. We do have emotional loss coming up. So it's very clear, you guys, that a big part of your curriculum with the Tower moving into the Star and then Death moving into Temperance, like a huge part of your curriculum involves like the amount of growth that happens when shit falls apart, when cycles end. It's like the Phoenix rising, something ends, and you have that incredible glow up. You can just like see my eye through that. That's a little creepy. I'm not in the Illuminati, I promise. And then, well, maybe I am, I don't know. So we have Tower moving into the Star here, right? So when shit falls apart, like the healing that comes from a death or something ending, the healing and the rejuvenation that comes from shit falling apart. So you know, this just might be a pile where a big part of your curriculum is just like really just like you are completely unattached as much as you can. You're remaining unattached. You're remaining open to the comings and goings of life. You're not thinking that you know better. And ultimately, I feel like you guys are just like life is your lover, right? This is where like I feel like you guys probably have many just like love offers in general, and just many people that you are like, I'm not even seeing soulmate in the sense of like, just like people you're like attracted to physically and you're making love with. I feel like quite literally, you are just in this union with yourself. You're in a union with people that come into your life. Like your curriculum has to do with the fact that you are making love with everyone. Like what is emotional loss, right? These emotional losses, these catalysts, these extreme heartbreaks and the depressions you went through after that, and people walking out of your life and things ending. I'm seeing a lot of loss in your life, pile 3. And if this is, I don't want this to be like scary for you, right? Because I think you will begin to see how the more that you are okay with things ending, the more sobered you are to the nature of reality. The more you are able to access your divine mind, your higher mind, why you're here, and how you are meant to implement that onto the earth plane, right? Because we live in a fantasy world when we think that we get in a relationship and it's going to stay in this honeymoon phase forever, right? Or that a lot of people, you know, with my pile number 3 is that many people are going to even be able to meet you where you're at. It's going to be very rare that you meet someone that is operating at the level that you are, my friends. And there's like, that's the chop wood, carry water. That's like before enlightenment, what do? Chop wood, you're carrying water. But after enlightenment, same shit, right? But the place you're sitting in is different. The amount of peace that you can experience is different. And so this is like, to me, a big part of your curriculum is like not burying your head or not living in a fantasy world. Funny if you came here from pile 2, not living in a fantasy world of like, how you think it should be going on the earth plane, or that if it doesn't, or that it should, or that it's going to, or that it could, right? I feel like it's very rare. I feel like it's going to take a very rare and exquisite and special being to be able to meet you on that level. And they're like a unicorn riding in on a fucking, you know, a cat that's a gajillion times bigger than the size of actual cats, right? So the chances of that happening, this is not meant in any way to like deter you or to make you feel, I don't know. I feel like you guys are good though, but I'm just going to say like, this is just me saying that a big part of your life will feel like not many people are meeting you where you're at. And yeah, you were meant to be a catalyst in the lives of many people. I'm hearing that people can sometimes get possessive over you just because you do embody such high codes. You are you are an incredibly free spirit. You kind of do your own thing. You march to the beat of your own drum. That's a big part of this Earth School curriculum for you, is just learning how to navigate in and out of beginnings and endings with more and more ease, with more and more grace. But like, I feel like one of the more powerful ways that you probably do that is in your love, your romantic dynamics, your one-on-one connection. So like, yeah, we can be a certain way when we're around groups of people, but I'm hearing pile number 3, people receive the most amount of healing from you when you're in a one-on-one setting, because more of their true self can come out around you, and you're not also filtering yourself because like you're meeting the other states of consciousness. Like, you're not meeting the average levels of consciousness in the room that you're at, but you're really able to really hone in on someone's paradigm and like get in there and help expand it, right? So a lot of like the healing work that you do, yes, you can most definitely be in a public eye in a certain way. I'm not discounting that. But a lot of the healing that people experience, like the deep, profound healing people experience, is when they're in a setting where it seems like, or it feels like you're speaking directly to them, just to them, right? So it could even be something like this. But ultimately, I'm seeing when you're in person with someone one-on-one, they experience a tremendous amount of healing being in your presence. You help other people understand the nature of comings and goings from a much more spiritual understanding as well. But I am seeing that you are not someone that's meant to stay in one thing very long, because we have the Tower moving into the Star, we have the Death moving into Temperance. You are in a very accelerated soul. A very advanced soul. So you are on a very accelerated path. I'm hearing that a lot of people really feel it when you leave their life. Like, they feel the absence of your presence, right? But you just bring change with this vibe. You bring change everywhere you go. And it's because it's literally your Earth School curriculum is less of what you're here to learn, and it's like what you're here to teach. And I already knew I was going to have a pile like this, where it was very clear that their learning had less to do with learning and more to do with teaching. But of course, it's like you just learn how to operate on a realm of such density, right? On a planet that is so dense and so mired by illusion, right? It's like that within itself is just like, whoa, going back to kindergarten, how do I operate here? And like, just that is definitely learning within itself. But I feel like, yeah, we have 2 6s coming here with a 42. I just saw 1111, and the Lovers here. So 6 could be a significant number. 5 obviously could be a significant number. But there is definitely, like, we have the Princess of Wands here, and then we have it coming up again, but moving into the Knight. So I feel like a big part of your Earth School curriculum, like what you learn coming to this planet at this time, like there's a mark that's left on your soul that is like very significant, because for a being of your advancement to come to Earth at this time is like, I mean, just because the risk that is taken when you're not native to a planet, the risk that's taken of getting swept up in karma, right? Getting swept up in karmic bullshit, karmic contracts, etc., is very high. Right? So it's like, it just kind of shows what I'm saying. It shows your advancement. I mean, this represents a woman going from, like, she's just in school and now she's like taking it to her career, right? I just saw 12 too. Right? So this kind of, I feel like this is not necessarily like, this is, again, like, she's already graduated is what I'm seeing here. You're like, your Earth curriculum, like, you've already kind of graduated where Earth is at. Like, you've already gone through the up-leveling, the ascension of this density being the main density of a planet moving into a new density. Like, you've already gone through this type of harvest is what I'm hearing, if you follow Law of One teachings, which I wouldn't be surprised if you do. So you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say harvest, right? So I feel like a big part of your curriculum overall is just like not forgetting where you come from, right? Embracing endings, because I feel like you guys probably too can get attached to people, honestly. Pile 3, I'm seeing that you can also get very attached to certain lovers, to certain dynamics too, again, because you have a very strong connection to the 5D realms and other dimensions. You can get very attached to those, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, right? It's like chop wood, carry water on this realm. I just saw 1313 as well. So wow, there might be like a significant counterpart dynamic that you've been thinking about in this pile or something. There's someone that's been on your mind that's mirroring a lot of your energy with this card too. like a high level counterpart might be significant in your life is what I'm just trying to say with all of that. Like that was very clear. I very rarely I don't use the word twin flames ever. If anything, I say high level counterpart, but I feel like there's something very significant about a high level counterpart. Cause maybe you guys don't feel like anyone's ever been able to meet you where you're at. So even if you don't meet them in this incarnation, that you're very connected to them, like in the realms of the 5D. Because I was talking about the 5D, like even if I'm so glad I held this because I would have forgot. Like whatever you're experiencing on this dimension or in other dimensions, like just like go about your day to day, like let it carry itself out. Don't resist it. Don't think you're doing anything wrong. Don't think that it shouldn't be there. Because I feel like you guys are, especially if you come from pile number 2, a significant part of your curriculum is the fact that like you're living on Earth, you're living in the 3D, but you're also the realms unseen, right? The realms unseen and the realms of the 5D are also very significant, very active, very alive. So, I feel like when you catch feelings for someone, like your awareness is so powerful that by you focusing on them, you're also doing a significant amount of healing. So remember when I was talking about that one-on-one kind of setting? So you could be in the public eye doing that as your main thing, right? Changing the lives of many people because you're a very cosmic being, changing the lives of many people in that sense. But it's like when your awareness is on someone and you feel that mutual spark, that mutual attraction, there is a hell of a lot of healing that's happening, right? For the people that you are romantically interested and that you're carrying out those other dimensional relationships with. I call them 5D relationships, 5D dynamics, astral connections, right? There's a lot of healing that they receive. There's a lot of upgrades they receive just from your awareness of them, whether or not you ever meet them in person. But for a lot of people, I feel like your energy is so intense that many people can show up as your friend. But in terms of being your lover, I feel like it requires them to be at a certain level of advancement, whether they would know it or not, whether whether appearances would suggest that they would be at that advancement or not, right? Because I'm seeing with this 5, I just noticed the 5 and the 4, you guys might even attract people that are like significantly younger than you, or there's like something very like, it seems like you're worlds apart in some way. But it's like important to remember that, just look back at your early incarnation, right? Like when you were still figuring the fuck out what's going on and like who you are and like why you don't feel like you're ever home. And when you look into the stars, that feels like the place you want to be, but you don't know why, right? Just remembering how messy it was as you like gained your footing and as you like led up to your awakenings, and even you can have your first, second, third, 18 awakenings and still be like growing into your shoes, so to speak, right? So, don't judge by appearances. Essentially, it's just like you don't know when someone's going to be activated, right? You don't know when someone's codes are going to fully come online or come online to an extent to where they're able to speak your lexicon or be able to speak your language, right? But, because I am getting that overall, I think you're just aware, like, all right, it's like just being honest about things and not feeling like, I feel like sometimes we in the spiritual community, I've had people come at me for saying this too, of talking about advanced souls. I'm like, bro, that just showed where you're at for you to think that I mean that better. I don't mean that you're more advanced, so you're better. That was your own ego flavoring that. So you just kind of told me more about yourself, right? Sorry. But that's not what I mean. It's just like being honest of like, okay, I just feel like I'm just in my own realm. I'm just like operating at a different level, and that's okay. And you don't have to feel guilty about knowing that or like shameful about knowing that. It's just what the fuck it is, right? That's ego in its own sense, right? Just, feeling like you should deny that knowingness about yourself because you don't want to come across as arrogant. Like, just own it. Arrogance is denying your truth in any level of the sense, right? What feels truthful to you, at least in that moment. So don't deny it, own it. That's a big part of your curriculum though, is understanding, accepting just where you're at, accepting, Earth is not your native planet. This is your confirmation. If you were wondering, it's not your native planet. You've done this before. You've already have surpassed this level. If anything, this could be one of your final go rounds, but that's not what I'm seeing. I really am seeing that you have successfully already been through this course and you're kind of here to help other people through it. Very powerful light worker, very powerful, wanderer. You're a very powerful wanderer that's come here to help Earth kind of get out of their stagnancy, to get out of their greed, their lust, their kind of like carnal mind, and kind of to set their sights higher, and to kind of, reestablish what's really important in life, right? So I wouldn't be surprised too if you guys are like super into astrology, you really follow the planets, because I am getting, these are two very cosmic cards, right? But also understanding a big part of your curriculum is you're not meant to stay in people's lives very long. And you create a lot of tower moments for people and a lot of opportunities for healing to happen, because you're consistently upgrading. You go through a lot of activations within this lifetime. So I feel like you guys might be at a place to where you're like okay with that. And you only get to a point of being okay when you understand, like, every time something has ended, you've just become more of a badass, right? Every time something has exploded, you've only become more of a badass. So until, like, everyone's going to be at different points of this. So if you're not there yet, you're going to be like, why the fuck? And you're going to be like, this is shitty. But when you start to see more and more, when it happens more and more, because it's inevitable, it's part of your curriculum, right? Then you're like, okay, you're just leaning into it, because you're like, all right, new version, I'm shedding this skin, I'm taking off this coat, and next version, right? Next upgrade. So I'm going to leave this reading here for now, you guys. Make sure to tune into my next one, because I am going to dive a little bit deeper into your current assignments in terms of Earth curriculum. So yeah, please like, share, comment below, subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon. What's up, pal number 4? Here is your reading for your Earth School curriculum. Now, I was wondering if this card was going to come up, because I'm aware this is a card in the deck, but you guys got it. I was like, I wonder if it's going to come up in one of these piles. You guys literally got the Earth School pile, higher learning. I was like, okay, what does that mean, Spirit? And then we have by the book that came up next. So I'm like, okay, I get it. And we have she-wolf. So I'm like, all right, Spirit, say less. I get it. So a big part of your curriculum on Earth is to be a teacher. Yeah, I mean, we have the King of Wands into the Page of Wands. So it's like, this woman is kind of like guiding her. Like, you're here to guide other people is essentially what I'm getting. And you're here to do so in a way that is not by the book. Right, even though it says by the book, I'm getting, just because we have the she-wolf here, like, you are meant to be very eccentric. You are a very eccentric leader. You are the king of all kings or the queen of all queens, whatever resonates for you. You're here to help people understand their soul's lessons. However you do that, you are here to help understand what soul growth is, and you are here to help people understand their lessons and understand their endings. 888 might be a significant number for you, but we have 2 8s coming in. Like, I just want to say, you don't get to this she-wolf unleashing the wild unless you experience a copious amount of this. Being trapped in fear, being trapped in your own darkness, being trapped in your own mind, your own misperceptions of the world and how it operates, right? We also do have the moon card here too. So it's like you're howling in the face of your greatest fears, of your greatest illusions, right? You're not, it's like, I am getting the sense that a big part of your curriculum is owning all facets of yourself. I don't want to say putting it on display, but you're also not hiding it, right? You're not just putting your best foot forward. If you are in the public image, the public eye, for example, like something that has been very essential and very clear to me as the type of teacher and the type of guide I'm here to be. I'm not here to just put my best foot forward and for you guys to see, for people to see, because I work with a lot of people in a lot of different ways throughout the years, right? I don't just put what I want people to see forward, because I know that what has allowed the greatest amount of healing for me is when I've seen someone be so great and also so completely human at the same time. I mean, that's one of the reasons, this came through yesterday, that's one of the reasons why, out of all the beings and all the saints and all the high-level guides that have existed on our planet, that's one of the reasons why Ram Dass, for me, is like my main guy. Like, why there is such an intensity of love that I feel when I see his image or when I even hear his voice, like my heart just breaks open, is because there is such a sense of purity and absolute beauty behind the fact that he was so tuned in. Right, you can feel the when you hear him speak about these things, like his articulation from one teacher to another. Like, I really something I noticed, because I have a lot of Mercury in my chart, my astrological charts. So I really notice how people articulate. I notice their lexicon, how they are able to take very cosmic things, even things that are very simplistic, and to be able to articulate in a way that is just so scrumptious and so delectable, and everything about his expression is so humanly divine and divinely human, right? And so for me, it became essential for me because I have worked with teachers where I felt enlightenment or higher states were so out of my reach because I was only seeing their perfected perfected state or what they wanted to put out, right? Which is fine. That's your expression. That's fine. I'm not saying anything is good or bad, but I know that I have experienced the most amount of healing from beings that I could feel the purity of their heart, and I could also feel their humanity. So I feel like a big part of your curriculum, pile number 4, is being very okay with all facets of yourself and very okay with your humanity, right? Being very okay with everything that has made you who you are. Because a big part of what you're here to do as a teacher and a guide on Earth School leading into New Earth, right, is you are here to help people understand all of this, all of the heartbreak, all of the betrayals, the things they had to walk away, to understand their long, winding journey from a more expanded level, right? You're here to help people. You guys might even be actual teachers, like university teachers. And so, like, just your presence alone and just what you embody alone, you don't have to be talking like I talk, like where I'm very much so like, okay, I'm that woo-woo chick, right? But like you could just know all this stuff and embody all this stuff without even using these words, but like still teaching these codes. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are already teaching somehow, or like I would be surprised if you weren't, right? And if you're not already, then I feel like you will at some point. I most definitely see that you will be teaching people these things. You guys are students of life. You are here to be consistently learning, consistently like not learning in the sense that it's not stuff you already know, but just like the different ways. I feel like it aids to you so much when you have a download, when you have an insight, and then a book from someone you really respect says the same thing that you just heard internally, right? And so I feel like you're probably very well versed and very well read, because I'm hearing something about vocabulary is very essential or just very significant in this incarnation, and we expand that through reading. Something about reading a lot as part of your guys' curriculum, and these are things that should feel natural, right? If you don't feel like reading, then don't, right? But like I just feel like this is not something I would have to tell you guys to do. I feel like you guys just have books all over your house or books everywhere. You're always reading, or you're always listening to podcasts, or you're always like aiding to this higher learning, to your soul growth, or to just like understanding how to say the same shit, but just like from different people, different expressions of divinity that has unearthed itself, right? That humans, sparks of God that have unearthed to various degrees, and all the different ways that we're all saying the same shit. We're all going back to the same place, right? And just like the beauty of just like celebrating. I'm just seeing someone celebrating and dancing, and just like you were meant to have a community. You bring a lot to people that whose life you're in. You feel like a soulmate to a lot of people. I mean, I was getting this sense of like really taking people under your wing with these cards, especially. It's like I'm getting like a leader of leaders. Like you impact people on a true level. Like there's a lot of power and force behind you, but it's very healing. Like it's this interesting dichotomy of like there's so much electricity behind you, and you're also very healing at the same time. Like it's one of those things where I feel like there's no in between with you in this incarnation. So like in terms of how people are either fully here for you, or just like your codes are so like they're so not ready to be exposed to the amount of light that you embody that they just like hate you for no reason, or they're just like, there's something about that person's energy, there's something about her that I don't like. It's like, no, B, that's a you thing. Just kidding. Love and light, peace. But just kind of what I'm getting at is it's like you just embody, you're just so you are just meant to be so eccentric. You are meant to stand out from a crowd in this incarnation. I wouldn't be surprised if early in your incarnation you felt like you really tried to conform, right? You really tried to dim your light to fit in, I wouldn't be surprised if all of that was part of your initial upbringing, because we only get to this, right, by experiencing deep amounts of this. So it's like you only start to, the contrast of going from being someone that's so afraid to speak their truth and so like feels very uneasy about embodying how unique they are. The contrast of living in that type of paradigm into owning who the fuck you are and all facets of it. And just like, even me, for example, like the fact that I drop F-bombs all the time when I'm teaching, like that is just a very eccentric and unique part of my expression. And it's going to cut out the people that aren't ready for it. It's going to cut out the people that are like, think the type of people I want to work with is understanding that spirituality, like to be a spiritual being doesn't mean that you renounce all of your quirks and you're going to look a certain way. Quite the opposite, quite the contrary. The more in tune you become with your soul stream, the more unique you become, right? And the more magnetic you become, because people are like, wow, this person's not putting on a show, right? That's real truth, is like when you're like, I'm just going to embody whatever it is that my higher self, God, source itself had intended for this incarnation, which includes the fact that I like to say fuck on my channel, right? Or just whatever it is. I like to have tattoos or piercings on my face, whatever this applies to you. Whatever in the past that you might have been like, oh, I'm not spiritual because of this, or like the things that you would judge yourself for because other people were projecting their own limited veils onto you. But you are here to be a teacher. You are here to be a teacher of teachers. Pile number 4. And so yeah, I feel like a big part of your curriculum, your Earth School, is like moving on from one thing to another. Like a lot of quick moving energy, right? A lot of like standing up for what you really believe in, not being afraid to voice your truth, not being afraid of like putting in the work, putting in the good fight, right? There's definitely a sense of like you consistently moving on to the next thing, Yeah, we have 3 8s coming in here. So a lot of like abundance follows you wherever you go. Prosperity on every level, whatever that means for you. That's going to look different depending on who's drawn to this. But I feel like essentially you are here to be a teacher. Your curriculum this time around is how to be a good teacher. And maybe that's something you've been preparing lifetimes for. And this also might be a lifetime where you're still becoming better at being a teacher, right? It doesn't mean you're coming back here. Could be, but ultimately I feel like you guys don't really care. You guys are at a point where you're just like, or you're going to be in a point, you're going to really know you're locked into your soul stream even more when it's like, you don't care if you're coming back to Earth or not, or you don't care what your next lifetime looks like. You don't care what comes after, because you're just so immersed in like what this here and now has to teach you. And you're so in love with the dance that you're like currently experiencing, right? This example came through one of my readings, my last readings, but I see a mom and a child here, right? And so when you become a parent, it's like, you don't want to rush the process of your child's growth, because every stage is so beautiful. And every stage is like, I just have moments where I will forever, like I would just hold Maya when she was like a little nugget, right? And I would just like become so present. And I'm like, I am going to remember my entire focus is in this here and now moment, because I know I'm never going to get this back. She's not going to be the side, like even by next week, she's going to be bigger, right? So that's the kind of level of what you guys are operating at. Your curriculum, a big part of that has to do with like embracing exactly where you're at, exactly the phase of evolution you're at, helping people to embrace that as well. Because what you are doing in your incarnation, you are here to teach to other people. So a big part of your curriculum is, what you're learning, or what you're remembering, I should say, is more applicable to pile number 4. What you remember, the unearthing you do to remember this, is like you are having to go through this remembering process so you can help other people do it, right? You're having to go through this remembering process because that's what makes a bomb-ass teacher, is someone that has been through it, right? Someone I can see has been through it. Again, it's like my thing in the beginning, the contrast working with teachers that I can feel had been in my realms, had been on my level at some point in some ways, maybe at least in one certain area of their incarnation. And to see the amount of profundity and expansion and just like the contrast between the then and now is like incredible, right? And it's important too to remember that those things, that those biggest, those deepest, those tightest karmic knots that have us, it's like we can only truly start to transcend when there's a level of acceptance, right? And it's like, this is the necessary, this comes before this. I'm not sure if that's actually how it comes in here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's not what I mean in terms of the tarot, but it's like how I'm saying this. I just saw 1, 2, 3, 4. Is like the healing comes first. The acceptance of exactly where you're at, not rushing your process, comes first. And then the amount of how rapidly and how quickly and how powerfully your external reality shifts because of that is very significant for you to understand, right? And so I feel like a big part of, it's very clear with She-Wolf and just what just came through what I just said is like self-acceptance is a huge part of your curriculum, and helping other people. You're teaching other people how to accept themselves holistically, truly, right? Because there's a hell of a lot of energy and momentum that comes. Like we lose when we're lost in illusion like that, when we're resisting illusion, it's like we have bound ourselves to it, when you're resisting something that's not actually there, right? That's what this card actually represents. Resisting something that's not actually there. It's in your mind. It's made up. It's a mirage, right? But when you start to see it more for what it is, like, okay, this is just what's happening. It doesn't mean anything about who I actually am. And if anything, it adds to who I am in this lifetime. But the truth, the core identity of me, my God spark, my God self, like that is untouched. It's unfazed. So yeah, a big part of your curriculum is not getting lost in that, getting lost in your own perceived flaws, your own perceived limitations, because that's all it is perception, right? And it's all very relevant. Understanding you're here to teach other people, you're here to learn for yourself, or to remember how it's all very relevant. All those insecurities, all of those things, all of those moments where you just were so disgusted and so embarrassed and so shameful of how you couldn't just speak up, or how you couldn't just stick up for yourself, or how you couldn't A, B, C, D, whatever, right? Why you couldn't be the person that you thought in that moment you were supposed to be. Accepting all of that and realizing how that was here to catalyze you in a certain way, because you're meant to be a teacher of teachers, right? You are meant to help other people. You are meant to be like working with other like revolutionary beings on this planet that are also changing this earth to the level of depth and profundity that you are as well. I wouldn't be surprised if you're actually not in contact, or you have also been in contact with like really powerful teachers on this planet. People that see you as being their equal, right? But that maybe you haven't been able to see, or maybe you're just starting to recognize, or at some point you'll be able to recognize that. But there's a lot of power behind you. And, you know, I was seeing with the Six of Cups and with this, it's like, and the Empress. I think maybe I showed these cards already, but it's like, there's this sense of being like very motherly and very fatherly. Like you just embody, like, I feel like you're just like the big brother, the big sister for people. Like you are someone that people are like, this is like my person, because you root for everyone. You root for everyone, and you're not exclusive about who you root for. If anything, you root more for the underdog, I feel, because you've probably been around people that were like very arrogant and very, thought they were better than you. This can even happen in spiritual communities. I've even dealt with this of like, there's like this still sense of hierarchy that exists. And you're like, and you saw how much people underestimated you early in incarnation. You probably believed it early in incarnation. You were probably very highly underestimated. And so now I feel like a big part of your curriculum is going from that underdog energy of being highly underestimated even by people that like could sense your greatness, but like we're still operating from their own levels of impurity, whatever, it's fine, what the fuck ever, right? There's no judgment here. But now it's like, I feel like there will be people that you've walked away from, or that, from your past, that even are just like, whoa, like, people check up on you. You're like the type of person that people that had underestimated you check up on you years later, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, who is this person? And there's meanwhile still resisting or residing in their same paradigm that they were in when you knew them then. And you're just like worlds apart, right? But again, that's you honoring your journey. That's you honoring it, not holding shame around it. Is a huge part of your curriculum, is honoring every version of self you have been, understanding that we don't always know from this perspective why we've had to play certain roles, why we've done certain things, why we've been a shitty person, what we don't always understand, right? And to pretend that we are going to is delusional, right? But we can absolutely trust and have faith that whatever it is that we went through, whatever version that we were embodying at that time, that it was most certainly relevant. And it was most certainly here to prime us into a certain way to be the leader that we were meant to be. Because pile number 4, I really am seeing that you are here to be a leader. There's a lot of quickness to this pile, a lot of fast moving energy. So a very accelerated group of souls have been drawn to this reading at this point in time. You have a very healing presence. You're meant to stand out. You are, you could never fit in even if you tried to be a wallflower. It's like you are the wallflower that the other wallflowers like, get out of here. Like, not even, it's like you're like, I can't win, pile 4, you can't win, because you're not meant to. Or that's not what I meant. You're meant to win, but you're not meant to blend in, right? You're meant to stand out, is what I see here. But yeah, I'm going to leave this reading here for now. That feels very coherent. A big portion. This feels like a very good solid portion of your soul's blueprint within this incarnation. So I'm going to leave this here for now. Make sure to stay tuned for my other readings on Earth School. And yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you soon. What's up, group number 5? Welcome to your soul blueprint reading on Earth School and what your curriculum is. This is going to be a kind of broadened perspective. So again, there's going to be many fractals and layers to these things. Just keep that in mind. But I do intend on making more soul blueprint readings in regards to like different assignments within your overall Earth mission. So it's interesting. I feel like pile number 5, you guys have definitely known some dark pockets within your own psyche. You've known some, I feel like you've just seen, you have been put through the ringer within this incarnation. And it's interesting because, you know, I have a full spread of cards here. Underneath this hope card, the star card, we have this 9 of swords. So I feel like even despite those things, or when your incarnation, or when things really start to take a turn, like even in the midst of the darkest nights of the soul and your deepest depression, I feel like you guys kind of knew that there was a reason for this. You guys had always felt deep down that there was a reason much bigger than yourself that you were going through the things that you were going through, or at the very least you understood that whatever I'm going through right now, like this is here to shape me in a certain way, right? I might not be able to see it now, but there's almost like this bizarre sense of hopefulness that you guys had. I'm totally kidding, but you guys just had this sense of hopefulness and like the deepest, the darkest parts of you, and just like the darkest experiences that you went through, you guys kind of understood this is not for no reason. Like this is here to shape me into a badass at the very least, right? I feel like a big part of your curriculum here is navigating people, like navigating betrayal, navigating people that are intimidated by your power. It's super clear here. Also, I'm sorry, pile number 5. I had to take a break between the readings because yesterday I was like, okay, these are probably going to be like 20-minute readings, and I try to keep my readings more on the shorter side. But I was like, but this is like a curriculum reading, so I know it's going to be long. I know there's going to be things that keep coming up, and so I had to take a break because these have been like 20-minute readings. So I want to let you guys know that the other piles, this was very consistent, and the other piles where it was very clear that there was an angel number. I flipped over these 2 cards first, and I was like, okay, let me just wait for that last 6 to come up because I already know it's going to come up. And sure enough, we have 6. So 666 might be a significant number for you guys. I mean, we do have the devil card here, so just kidding. I don't think it's a demonic number. I think it's a very beautiful number. At least 6 is a very significant number in my life. It's my birthday, my daughter's birthday. So 6 is a good number in my opinion. It's Ram Dass's birthday too. So, anyways, sorry, I'm gonna try to keep it together for you guys. So, okay, it's just very clear that I feel like you guys aren't, like, you're on a very accelerated course. Like this curriculum that you're here for, you don't stick in things very long. You're constantly moving to new horizons. You're constantly going new places. And I feel like a big part of your curriculum and what you're here to learn is like when something is not for you and how to like gracefully bow out of situations, dynamics, with people, with organizations. I feel like it's like there's a deeper part of you that know when something is like ended or when a cycle is completed. And I feel like you are ultimately, you guys, pile number 5, you are definitely guided by a North Star that not many people can see. Not many people can keep up with this. You are guided by something much bigger than you. I mean, it says share your song, frequency of sound, deep diving or diving deep. So I feel like you guys, like a big part of your curriculum has to do with like being okay with where you're guided and not always ultimately understanding or being able to know like where your compass is leading you or why you're being led in a certain direction. But ultimately, I'm sorry, my nails are funky. I've just been lazy. It's like, I can't, how do people keep up with nails? I don't know. I tried for a little bit for you guys, but I was like, no, not today. But ultimately I feel like, you are guided by something much deeper and by something much bigger. And it's a path that is not meant for everyone, right? The road less traveled is not meant for everyone because it's a path where it is literally being paved for you as you go. So it's not like this templated path where, yeah, you could live a pretty good life on the the road more traveled, right? The path that is deeply traveled, greatly traveled, but on the road less traveled, it's like, that's where things are kind of up in the air, but that's also where you experience the most amount of bliss. That's where you experience the most amount of connection to something bigger than yourself. That's where you get to know what your true frequency really is, where you're kind of like muddying out all the garbage of what society has told you to be and all the bullshit that you accumulated from family, from friends, etc., right? And you're really starting to see like, what am I investing in? What is worth my investment? What is worth my precious energy? Because I feel like as you guys grow wiser, you're like getting more and more better at walking away from the bullshit and walking away from people that just want you to dim your light, right? Dim your light because your light makes them very uncomfortable is really what I'm seeing here. I mean, you have the devil moving into the tower. You have the 6 of swords moving into the 7 of swords, justice into hanged man, and hanged man into death. I mean, to me, along with the Wheel of Fortune card, this just tells me that like, even if you wanted to, pile number 5, even if you wanted to follow a traditional path, it's like you could not. Your curriculum this time around does not, it does not give a lot of wiggle room for you to take a path of the most resistance, which there's a reason that in the Tao Te Ching, it says the easy path seems difficult and the difficult path seems easy, right? So your road less traveled actually seems difficult from the outside looking in because you're making it yourself and it's very different and there's no guarantees. But newsflash, there's no guarantees with anything. And I feel like everything that's happening in 2020 from up to this point in time, whenever you guys are watching that, has deeply shown us how unstable it is, or how we're not actually as stable and secure as we all think we are, right? Not as long as we're investing our treasures up where moth and dust will corrupt, right? In the earthly realms. But a big part of your soul's curriculum is here to connect you to your inner self and to that inner sanctuary, that inner sanctity that tells you no matter where I go, I'm always going to be home, because you are connected to yourself and you're here to travel. Like, you know, orcas and whales, they travel along the sea and they just like have the most unique song, right? And you can hear it and it's like, when you hear a whale, not that I've ever heard one in person, at least not that I can remember, but like when you listen to on like YouTube or something, look it up after this. But when you hear the frequency or the song of a whale, it's like, there is so much power and it's like, you're just awestruck. I feel like this is a big part of your curriculum, is like embodying this and being okay with it. Because in the past it would intimidate people. In the past it's like, it brought up a lot of envy, it brought up a lot of jealousy, and it didn't lead to like, it made you feel like this guy is literally, you guys, he's like, they are searching for him. That search party is looking for him. I feel like that's probably how you felt. Like, give me a fucking break, like get off my back. Let me be me, let me be good, let me be great, let me be grand. Right? Because you were meant to shine. You were a star. You were meant to be a star. You were meant to be a light in darkness, right? You were meant to be in a vast array of darkness. You were quite literally designed to be that light that stands out, right? And so I feel like a big part of you is like, a big part of your lessons in your life, because this not for you is deeply linked to the 6 of Swords and the 6 of Pentacles. It's like, okay, being honest about who is really here for me and who is really here for the right reasons, what is worthy of my precious time and my precious energy, right? Because I feel like my pile number 5s have probably come from a background of having not the highest self-esteem, right? And have gone through some trauma and having to work through that, and just like that, and my most humble of opinions, that makes the most humble servants, right? The most powerful teachers are those that have known, have felt themselves to be the lowliest of the lows, right? Because then as you inevitably like gain your success, as you inevitably start to shine in whatever field you were here to shine in, however you're meant to shine, as you really own who you came here to be, right? As you really own who you came here to be, it's like, fuck that tangent. Oh yeah, you're not likely to become arrogant, right? It's like, you remember where the fuck you came from. And so you're able to see other people as equals. And I feel like just with this whale and the traveler, like this move in a new direction, it's like, even though you probably find yourself not sticking in one place very long with everything I'm seeing here, there's like, you move on very quickly. You go through a lot of death cycles, a lot of transformative cycles, like a lot of tower moments, right? A lot of envy. Like, even though you move on very quickly through in and out of these pockets of just like evolution and how you're meant to impact other people and the catalyst they're here to provide for you in your life, even though you move throughout these things very quickly, you don't stay in one place very long. it's like you extract the nutrients, right? You really extract the juice of what that was there to teach you. And you have kind of had no choice, pile number 5. You have no choice but to surrender to where life is taking you, right? It's either you're in the inner spoke of it, right? You're in the center of yourself, just like hoping for the motherfucking best, right? Hoping for the best, hoping that overall, deeply trusting that it's got your back, that you are being guided to something significant, or something that at least, significant in this sense means like fulfillment for you, and however that's supposed to uniquely look within your incarnation. You're either sitting in the center of it, not making it mean anything good or bad, not making it mean anything at all, a true state of transcendence, or you are on the outer rungs and you're being flung around, right? You feel unstable. You feel like life, like good things or bad things could happen, right? It's like it brings you more into a state of anxiety, which I'm hearing that, it doesn't take very much of that anxious thought before, like a lot of your, those codes of trauma that, are still like trying to purge themselves from your system, they become active, right? And it's just important to note too, that sometimes when we've gone through that trauma or that instability early in incarnation, it's like, when we are growing, when we are expanding, and we're about to move into a new paradigm, it's important for you to know, my pile number 5, because I'm seeing this is very significant from your guides coming through. It's important for you to know when you're about to move and make a shift into a new paradigm, a new level of existing in grace, in God, and flow, and ease, right? With less stress, regardless of what the fuck everyone else would like to say you should or should not be stressing about. Like, you just feel good. When you're about to shift into a higher density, like it's like, you're inviting in more light. And so whatever remnant codes of trauma still exist are going to be kind of triggered, and they're like resisting. And your experience is like, it's not safe. Where am I going? Watch what tries to happen to your mind. Your mind tries to attach to something you did 10 years ago that you're afraid is going to catch up to you from karma or whatever. Something that, like the mind will try to literally seek something to attach that anxiety onto. But really what's happening is you are purging. You guys are on a rapid path of acceleration. And so, it's important to remember, like, your mind is going to try to suggest a lot of things to you. Your mind is not your friend, right? If anything, your mind can be, it's one of those things of like, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, right? Treat your mind as such. Your mind is, at the end of the day, not here. It doesn't want you to not succeed, but at the end of the day, it's here to like help you survive. And so naturally it's going to seek out threats, right? And so if you've been through a lot of trauma and you were exposed to things that made you feel unsafe in your earlier incarnation, it's like your mind is not on your team. Your subtle body is still trying to heal. Your nervous system is still trying to repair itself, right? So, it's on your team on one sense, but in terms of like your highest aspirations, and I just saw 12, 22 or 222 could be significant. That number is significant for me, 12, 22. But it's like if you, fuck. God damn it. Hold on, pile 5. I'm going to edit this part out. So I think I was essentially saying that, you will keep yourself bound, right? You're like, oftentimes in your soul's curriculum, especially if you guys have been through some shit early in incarnation, which I'm seeing that probably has definitely been the case. You probably have felt like alone or an outcast, right? And like, again, one of the reasons why you're okay with being like a lone traveler is because you're like, I don't really fit in anywhere, but you are here with a deep purpose, right? And so it's just important to remember, keep in mind when you're making these shifts into, even if you're not completely shifting into a new density, right? But just making paradigm shifts to where it's like slowly but surely becoming more expansive. It's like those codes that, it's like all that cannot exist within that new paradigm is going to make its final stand with you. So it's really important, my pile 5, that you understand that, right? All that cannot make a shift into that higher density is going to try to come up. And so that's why sometimes it's like when you start to feel like things are getting really good and your path is accelerating and like you're beginning to experience deeper levels of bliss and joy and hopefulness, etc. It's like, why is there like a little tiny fragment of something that's like, oh, but remember this thing, we have to be, you can't fully enjoy it because what if this thing comes back to catch up to you, or what, something's going to happen, it's not going to work, like whatever, right? Like whatever you can, do your best to just like disengage, right? And overall, I am seeing too that there has been, I do this in between tarot deck tells a story. I mean, we have the Justice moving towards the Hanged Man. So it's like this person is blindfolded and is enforcing justice onto this guy that all of these people are holding. So she has a blindfold on. She has the traditional justice scale. And this guy right here is this guy, right? So we have justice into the hanged man into death, right? So this is like for the people that have betrayed you is what I'm getting, because then we also have this. And then we have the Six of Swords and Six of Pentacles. But the people who have betrayed you, I'm seeing a link between this and this. You are not here to determine what their karma should be or what it is or why they did it, right? A significant part, you have to understand, a significant part of your curriculum this time around is like you are going to trigger people. You are going to be the catalyst for people to either bind themselves to greater karma or to set themselves free, right? So I am seeing that like because the justice, especially here, is blindfolded. Like to me, this reminds me of like judge not after appearances, or like, you know, this having an awareness or having the understanding that like we don't know all of the moving parts as to why people do the shit they do to us, or what, you know, if anything, it's like, look at how these people that have betrayed you and have wanted the worst for you and just like didn't want you to shine, and just because you shine so bright, they just like wanted you to dim. Like that leads you into a certain level of unfuckwithability, right? And you're able to sniff that out for a mile away. But then you're also at the same time, it's essential that, you know, a big part of your curriculum, you're not binding people to their karma or being like, I hope you get yours, or I hope you experience what I had to experience. Because from a higher level, that could have been a soul contract you had. You could have had a soul contract with all of these MFs out here to outcast you in a certain way, to go through a certain canceling or whatever. Because you are here with a very specific mission. And it was very essential that you did not feel like you fit in anywhere, because the likelihood that you start to feel like you fit in somewhere, that you'll stay there. But you're not meant to stay somewhere very long, right? So it's not going to feel like you're meant to fit in. It's not going to always feel like you have your people, or at the very least, like the people that are here for you, you're going to meet them everywhere, or you're going to have access to them wherever you go, that kind of thing, right? But it's just essential to remember that it's like, at the very least, you were put through these things, because I am seeing that a big part of your contract probably had to do with like a lot of anxiety early in incarnation. And so that kind of made you, that kind of shaped some of you guys into being very like manipulatable. And so Spirit also had to have that, had to kind of come in and contrast that with experiences that kind of finally put you into a place. So you guys might not be here yet. Some of you guys might already be here, right? This is just overall put you in a place to where you're just acknowledging, or to where you are finally confident enough within yourself to let your light shine and to not put up with bullshit. Because I'm hearing overall in terms of this curriculum, like I kind of talked a lot about like early incarnation, I know, but it seems like overall, like there's a big mission here that like a lot of you are going to touch the lives of very significant people and in very significant ways. And so a big part of that is teaching people how to honor their truth above anything else, to honor their soul's calling, to honor their North Star above anything else. And if something's not for you, to say this is not for fucking me and go somewhere else with that bullshit, right? Because there's a level of like, again, you don't get to this place of feeling so like liberated within yourself, right? And just like you deserve what, like you don't feel like, what am I trying to say? Like you don't get to that level of just like badassery without really experiencing this darkness, man. Because then you're at this place of like, nothing can touch me. I have nothing to lose. It's like you have gone through with this devil in the tower. It's like you've seen the worst. You've seen the worst of worst, right? You've had many moments of meeting yourself, meeting the deepest, darkest parts of your own insecurities, your jealousies, your anger, and seeing that in other people as well. Like you've seen it. You've seen the insanity of humanity down to like you've been immersed in it. It's not lip service for you. You've had things not work out. You've been in love and it's falling apart. You've been betrayed. You've been the person to betray. You played all parts, right? And so you reach this certain level of being a badass because you've played all of those parts. Right, but I'm hearing a really essential part of your curriculum overall is to not bind people, to not carry the story of like, the story is good up to a certain extent, right? Because it kind of shows people like, this is where I've been, this is what's possible, right? Where you've been has nothing to do with like, or this is interesting because there's different levels working out here. Like you can have gone through the worst of the worst and still have be an incredible person down the line and have a really incredible life, right? So if anything, it's like your experiences, what you've been through, the person that you've been, the person you thought you were. Like one of the reasons why your frequency and your song is so unique is because you have kind of seen the gamut. And you're very unique in that sense, and very unique in the sense of like you're not ashamed of it, or that's where life is like hoping you'll move more towards, is understanding that it's not just your experience, right? It's not for you. It's not just what you're going through. This is like the karma of humanity, right? This unites us all. If it's in your experience, if it's in your reality, especially in gross degrees, like when I mean gross, like very obvious degrees of like anxiety or anger or whatever, you can be sure as hell that that's a collective thing. Because if you go on another planet, if you hop onto another planet that's existing in love and light, you can be sure as hell that you're not going to experience a whole lot of devil and tower, right? So it's just kind of like understanding that we don't always know, releasing people from their karma, releasing people from bondage, right? Releasing ourselves from whatever part we've played, whoever we think we've been, understanding that divine will trumps all, right? So the more that you're unearthing, the more that you're releasing yourself. It's like releasing other people. You can't be released unless you're releasing other people, you guys. Right? You can't truly expect forgiveness and expect your sins be cleared and nothing be held against you if you're still holding things against other people, right? So that's a big part of your curriculum, is I feel like you do shine very bright. So that's going to draw out all sides of people. That's going to draw out the light in other people. That's also going to draw out like the dark. Like it's going to draw this out. You see that little guy back there? And so there also could be a sense of like possessiveness or whatever. Like a lot of it just might have felt like, and continues to feel like, until we get to this point of releasing, right? Really seeking that deep level of purification that spirit has been guiding you towards, right? This to me is like ultimate purification. Hanged man moving in death. This is ultimate purification, right? Because death to me, after this after this hanged man into death is, I believe it's death into temperance, right? And the temperance card shows a phoenix rising. Because after every time you go through a process of deep purification where spirit, like, because it's hanged man into death, this tells me that you have no choice. It's like you have no choice but to surrender to the course of events. And when you're not showing a certain level of humility that's required in order to actualize your soul's blueprint and your soul's mission, you can be sure as hell you're going to go through an uncomfortable death experience. Right? But that only needs to happen so many times until you're like, okay, I just fucking give it up. I surrender. So you're not forced in this space of surrender. You're like, it's like life is really, it's very narrow for you guys, pile number 5, but there's a lot of freedom, right? There's a reason why it says there's, that true freedom lies in discipline, right? So there's a lot of freedom that comes with disciplining your mind, especially meditation, concentration, contemplation, forgiveness, like not feeling like you need to be the distributor of karma, letting God take care of that for you, right? Being the most empty, the most clear vessel you can be, so you can be more in tune with where you're being guided. Like we cut off access to our higher mind when we're resentful, right? When we are like throwing pity parties for ourselves, when go through whatever you have to go through, experience it. I'm not saying any of this is bad, right? Because it's like our belief that something is negative that keeps us bound to it in the first place. But just like, you guys are here for true freedom. You guys are here to make a true, like, deep impact for people, right? And we tend to get in our own way when we're still like, worried about or just like heartbroken over something that someone did to us out of their own insecurity. Right? And it's like their karma is their karma. Don't worry about it. Your karma is your karma. Set yourself free. Worry more about unbinding yourself, right? Because there are big things in store for you, right? And spirit just kind of has you like in this space. I feel like we have the Hanged Man twice and the Wheel of Fortune. So it's like, I feel like you have no choice or it's not going to be a fun ride for you guys, Pile 5. You have no choice but to be like, I surrender. I don't know. I'm going to give up. I'm just going to go where I'm being led at this time. It's like really no choice if you actually want to enjoy this incarnation, right? But ultimately it is leading to an extremely beautiful and bright and bountiful experience holistically, internally and externally. So you can trust it. I mean, this is a very unique, very beautiful pile for sure. And a big part of that is just really being like your own sense of authority, knowing when to say no, why to say no. And the only reason you can do that is because you know yourself. you've gone within, you've gone through that process of purification. So Pile 5, I'm going to leave this here for now. Stick around for more readings on Earth School and what you're here to learn in particular. Yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.